Q, how do you feel like is like in terms of just like filling in the space that is missing? That there really wasn't anything sort of that catered to the issues, or I think your guys' mission before, and I don't know why. Obviously I'm sure in certain markets there's like one-offs of people who do like shows like this, but aren't necessarily trying to take the national approach to it. So
the interesting thing, Kev, is that our initial push wasn't for us to do a show.
Right.
So it's hard to tell the story and leave that part out. We wasn't trying to jump, in front of the mic or in front of the camera.
Rams, just make sure your mic's turned down a little. There you go.
To tell the story.
Yeah.
We just thought somebody should.
Right.
So when we first had that first meeting with the PD, it was like, hey, we got some unrated space overnight that's running
Are you talking about at the beat?
Yeah.
Okay. KNRJ in Arizona?
Yes, sir. That's
now
running,
the Bounce?
That's now the Bounce.
We're the reason that it's
They changed their name because they look crazy?
Ramses also owns the beat.
Trademark, yeah.
So there's that.
What?
Yeah. Ramses owns the beat, so they had to change the whole situation. And we can talk about that too. But we were in the streets, Kevin. You know this more than a lot of people. When everything was happening in 2020, a lot of people were outside with their kids, with their families. Like, listen, there's some things that are going on that have been going on for so long, and we just kind of collectively all over it.
Yeah, for sure.
But the way that it was covered on television and even on some broadcast media was just not that. Call people rioters and protesters. I mean, not protesters, but rioters and looters.
Right.
Instead of protesters. So Ramses' idea was, listen, there's some people out there whose voice only goes as far as a bullhorn.
Right.
It would be cool if we can just have them come on the radio
and
have a place where they can say their piece and tell their story.
Right.
And we got some unrated time overnight that's running, don't drink and drive ads or something.
Right.
Where we could, talk about that.
Right.
And the station was initially like, yeah, that'd be a great idea. Yeah, we should put something together. And then a month went by. And then a couple months went by. And then a few months went by. And just in the spirit of follow-up, Ramses went and had a meeting with, I'll let you say the gentleman's name.
Frederico.
Our PD at the time. Hey, remember that thing we talked about that everybody said would be a good idea? Are we still going to do that?
Yeah.
And there's so many things they could have said back to us, Kev, that we would have just had to take on the chin and run with. Like, hey, you guys, great idea, but we don't want to do anything divisive. Hey guys, wonderful concept you guys talked about, but we don't really do political in this space. Had they said something like that, we'd have thought it was BS,
but
we could have took that on the chin.
Yeah.
What they said, or what he said more specifically, was, we don't want to do a black show.
Wow.
And the reason why that part of the story is important, because Civic Cypher now seems like, hey, those guys had a great plan and they ran the play and it worked. That's not what happened.
Right.
We pitched an idea to the station. They told us initially, okay.
And this is at the time, still is a hip hop station.
Yes.
But it's a hip hop station.
It's a hip hop station
that plays nothing but black music.
Nothing but black music at the time.
That was my charge.
In Phoenix.
Yes.
My charge was that, a station that plays 70% black artists and 100% black music should also align itself, be an ally to a community in need where we're hurting, people are dying, we're coming together, we're trying to change so that we can create a better path forward for our children.
Right.
I'm a father.
What's Frederico doing now? Selling real estate like every other bum-ass PD out there that can't get a job?
Hey, man, look, I haven't kept up. I will say this because it's important to say it. I talked to Fred. He wished me well on my journey, and I will leave it there. But
yeah, man.
I do want to say this too. Let me say this because for folks that aren't familiar with Civic Cypher, was talking about Kev listening to my CD books. After Fred and I had our meeting, I don't even think you know this. You have to bear in mind I've been a radio broadcaster my whole adult career up to that point, and when I decided to resign after that meeting, I had to come to terms with the fact that I might never broadcast again. And that's a lot to come to terms with because in Phoenix, I was kind of, at that time, especially
so
big name.
For people who don't know, you decided to resign after they said, we're not going to put the show on.
He said, Ramses, I don't want to do a black show.
The way that they said it.
I don't want to do a black show.
Right, it had to do with the way they said it.
Right, so I wrote my resignation letter, but I addressed it to the city of Phoenix.
Right.
Because the Phoenix had given me my ratings. Phoenix had kept me on the air across multiple stations and so
Right.
forth. But I did make one phone call before I posted that. And I called you, and you were in Mexico at the time with your wife. And I read that to you. I remember I was crying.
Yeah.
I was in, because you imagine
When I
the
got to your
emotion.
house, you were still crying.
Yeah, the emotion that goes into that. And I didn't know what was coming next, but I read that letter to you, and you was like, there's no way you can write that and not post it. Post it.
Yeah.
I posted it, and then got shared, went viral. The trades picked it up. Everyone picked it up, and then PD started reaching out around the country saying, hey, we'd like to carry that show. And then, of course, the podcast partnership with iHeart helped blow it up even more. And, then the other shows that I ended up doing, it just led to sort of this snowball effect.
So we had to create that on the spot. When these people started reaching out,
we had no name.
there was no show. The show didn't exist. We just had an idea. But Ramses initially resigned both of us from the beat. Like, okay, we don't work here no more.
Right.
And then called me and told me. And of course, right. But just he was that compelled. He felt that strong in that moment. Like, imagine looking at, for the cameras, imagine looking at him. We're not going to do a black show on the hip hop station. Like,
It's a crazy thing to say out loud.
Yeah.
To me especially.
You know what I'm saying? So that decision kind of made itself, Kev, and then it was time to get to work.
Yeah.
Q, I need you to commit to doing this with me. I don't know what it's going to become because it's worked out now. We might top of the year we might be on almost 70 stations.
Yeah.
So it's worked out now. So it seemed like we had a plan and we ran the play. Like, nah, it was just the station made a decision for us. We don't want to do a black show. Made the choice for us. What happened after that? It just kind of came together. So if you believe in God or the universe or whatever your belief system is, that's kind of where those thanks go, because we had no idea. In our minds, we're never going to work in radio again. Because Ramses's letter burned the station down. He named names. It was very, very specific, but had to be done in that way. Yeah. But we figured, okay, once this is published, I don't know how we're going to do, as far as the career thing after this.
Yeah.
So once the letter goes viral, did they ever they never even replied to it or try to?
I had a brief line of communication to the general manager of the station, because we're at a point.
What's his name again?
Paul Holton.
Okay, what's the other guy's name that's always there? The other old dude that's been there forever.
Is it Michael?
Michael Malice.
Oh yeah, he was gone by that
Okay,
time.
okay.
So Michael wasn't involved. But anyway, I had a brief line of communication because we're going back and forth in the newspaper and in the trades. And they're saying it's this, I'm saying it's that. You know what I mean? And of course, they have a whole business to protect. So they don't mind reframing the conversation, the narrative around.
They even tried to get somebody else to do the show.
Yeah.
After
I think they hired Cedric Saballo. Shout out to Ced, that's my guy.
Yeah.
But they hired him to do it, and then I think it was like Jackie Morales is another name out in Arizona. Some folks to try to pick up the slack, because the community had since charged that station with, hey, you should be doing what this guy resigned about. You know what I mean? So, everybody ended up winning. Again, I kept a brief line of communication open with Paul. I still believe Paul to be, friendly with me, but obviously because of where he works and the situation, circumstance, he probably can't talk to me. And I honestly, I believe that a lot of those people really had good intentions. It was just one person who made the wrong decision at the wrong time and said it the wrong way to the wrong person.
Yeah.
Because I was the president of the Black Student Union in college, the NAACP at BSU. This isn't new to me. I've been on this path for my whole life, trying to make sure everything is fair and equal. Because, me and you, Kev, we reached heights from playing with toys as a little kid.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We reached heights we'd have never thought. And, for me, obviously, it comes with an additional charge. For you, too, you've been real good about that. But it comes with a charge of, okay, now we have to make sure that people that don't make it to this height, we're doing right by them. We're making the world a little bit better place, a little bit more accessible, and, helping change the narrative so that, we leave a legacy that's not just we made some bread.